And in this kind of unusual time, I'm up with one of my good friends, actually, Cliff Kapono. He's from Hawaii, Big Island, just a real gentle spirit, and he's a great surfer and a real great contributor to the science field. He's a chemist. He has studied in molecular bioscience, so we're going to be able to catch up with him about that, and it should be fun. Let me check my notes here and see if there's anything else about Cliff. But yeah, I'm Dane Gudauskas. I don't know if you guys are just tuning in, but this is the In Between Adventures series that we'll be doing every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And we're going to be catching up with all of the Hydro Flask ambassadors, seeing what they've been getting into and how they've been keeping the vibes flowing. So, Cliff, I don't know if you're out there on this thing, but we're standing by to go live. Oh, here he is. All right, I'm going to add Cliff. Okay, we're waiting for Cliff. He's in Hawaii, I think. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in. You guys are awesome.
Brother Dean.
Yeah, Cliff.
What's up, bro?
Dude, I'm just cruising over here.
How's my connection? Are
you good? I got a good, clear service with you, man.
Yeah, I'm good too. I'm in Hilo on the Big Island. Where are you? Are you in San Clemente?
Yeah, I'm here in California. It's kind of like that June gloom, kind of May gray little feeling in the air right now, but it's warming up. So we're happy campers. Feels like we're outside of winter, so it's nice.
Is there any red tide up where you're at?
Cliff, I don't know. Where's the service?
Oh,
can you hear me okay, Cliff?
How am I? Are you there?
It's good, man. I think you're good. I hope.
Okay. Yeah. What is there any red tide up where you're at?
Yeah, man. The bioluminescence are crazy. Like, we got a chance to actually surf last night. They opened up surfing, and we went and checked it out. I think it was the strongest I've ever felt. Like, you felt like you were just glowing blue.
Yeah, I when I was up there in 2012, I remember seeing it for the first time. I think it was like on a Taco Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I was down the PCH, and I was driving, and I looked over in my truck, and I thought someone was just throwing strobe lights out there, and I've never seen it before, so I ended up pulling over just to kind of check it out and see what people were doing, and no one was around, and that's when I just seen the waves lining up, and like moth to the flame, I just got out of my truck and took my shoes off and ended up walking on the sand. It was like Avatar, like doosh, 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 doosh. And it's so insane. I'm seeing it go off right now on Instagram. It's pretty insane.
Yeah, I've never seen it this strong. I was blown away. Like, every little movement just started glowing, and that's right up your field of science. I mean, we got to talk about, introduce you like a chemist, journalist, professional surfer, and a new member of the ambassador program, the Hydro Flask. We're super happy to have you on board. And bioluminescence is that right in your field of study kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of, it's just in particular, what I do is I look at human environmental interactions on a molecular level. So, I mean, surfing, obviously, that's a pretty big connection to nature on a molecular level, and I know you're pretty much expert on describing that. But in terms of other things too, scientifically trying to understand how do we like articulate and communicate those feelings that we get, the stoke, like what is the stoke? Because there's so much like positivity in that, and there's so much like chemical reactions happening inside of us. How do we articulate it in a way where we don't just kind of seem like too much jargon? It's just within our own tribe. So I try to figure out, are there certain receptors, are our body releasing certain chemicals just from touching water or from seeing water or feeling a wave, remembering what something was like on your first time, what types of chemistry are being produced, and is nature producing chemistry that is affecting the way we feel and the way we live and the way we thrive. And bioluminescence is just one of the most visual ways that we can see nature providing us with a chemical signal. During the day, the red tide is just brown and kind of stinky, and it's really these large algal blooms that are happening from many different reasons. some being increased nutrients, some being just the migratory patterns of different organisms. But as the algae kind of moves closer to shore, it's in the nighttime that they release these different types of chemical signals in themselves that light up. It's like it's
Wow.
the luminescence.
I've never, I mean, that's why I was tripping. I mean, is it seem, it's the weirdest thing that it's so kind of murky looking at daytime. And then
Yeah,
upon the night comes, it's like crazy. It feels like you're seeing a different, like you said, energy in something that we look at every day. It's a different kind of way to look at the ocean, you know, kind of thing. And you get the chance
exactly.
to kind of understand
Energy.
on a scientific level. But it's for us, or I mean, just me as a normal surfer to see it and feel it. It was really kind of inspiring, you know. And I can imagine in your journey, like studying science, like what kind of different ways have you been looking at the ocean now that you have a deeper understanding of it in that kind of realm?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes down to like taking it back to me, like surfers who really have a strong connection to the ocean, also too as someone coming from Hawaii, my family came to these islands kind of like 90 generations ago, like 2,000 years or something, on one of the first migrations from the South Pacific. And as we moved across the big ocean, landing in these valleys, there's stories that have been passed on for so many generations, and that's something that I feel was given to me, but it's very difficult to communicate some of these stories to maybe people who weren't as privileged and with those types of stories. So science is a pretty cool tool that it's like a modern culture.
Yeah.
Like the science story, everyone I think in modern times can connect to science as a way to hear a cool story about their connection to nature. So that's for me why I'm like so interested in, we go and we surf these places and we get onto these oceans. I really try my best to stick around and learn what are the types of unique chemistries that happen in these reef breaks or these sand breaks or off these islands. And it's totally different everywhere I go, but at the same time, it's kind of all the same. There's crazy chemical connections happening, like from the kelp that is releasing different nutrients out into the environment to the sun that is heating up certain land masses that are causing onshores or offshores. And it's just the salt beds that are causing, different breaks to form. It's so cool to dissect where we go and how we experience it on a molecular level. And then that way, I don't feel like I'm alienating anyone with just a story specific to my family or as a surfer, this is how it is. It's really like it includes a lot more people and it brings more people in, and that's why I love science. It's not even about like lab coats all the time. It's just about having a good time.
Dude, that is insane, man. I love that outlook. It's such a, yeah, like you said, it's a universal way for people to understand kind of the feeling that you're experiencing, and you're able to communicate it, which I think it's amazing.
Trying to learn how to communicate.
Dude.
Yeah. I just like sitting down listening to you guys. Like every time I see you on the road, I feel like sometimes we're like not even like thinking about it, and then all of a sudden I just see you. Waves are pumping. Oh, there's you and your brother somewhere. One of them.
That's what's so crazy about surfing. You end up, gravitating towards, when the swell's on. I just feel like surfers kind of innately are just connected to it and drawn to it. And but it's so interesting in the world of surfing. Like you look at, a lot. Is there an inspiration that got you into the scientific field looking at surfing? I don't really have too many that I can think of off the top of my head that are, I know there's quite a few chemists or doctors or, people that are really hyper educated in that kind of level that do surf and do love the ocean. But for someone on your level, we surfed some pretty epic sessions and some pretty heavy waves.
Yeah.
Who were your inspirations that got you into it? It's amazing.
Yeah. I it kind of seems maybe like like right now in modern time, that's like, oh yeah, there's not really any like pro surfers or surfers that are traveling on a certain connection to the industry right now that have maybe intense formal education. But if we look back, like one guy, Ricky Grigg, Ricky Grigg was one of the pioneers in trying to figure out how wave models work and surf forecasting. And He got his PhD from UCSD as well, Scripps Institution of Oceanography. And then he went to, when he was 30, he went to Hawaii and he won the Du'Kanamoku Sunset Beach Invitational. So like he like was a doctor and then he won like the sunset. And I mean, there's people like Clyde Aikau. He has his business degree from University of Hawaii, who's Eddie Aikau, another very famous surfer in our profession. His brother won the big wave invitation at Waimea Bay. There's people like Eski Britton now from Ireland, who's a big wave champion, and also she's a postdoctoral scholar studying ocean connection to people as well. Yoni Klein, he's on Billabong Europe. He's in Israel. He's a medical doctor. So I think it's like, it's kind of, I'm just like really honored to be a part of like different brands and partnerships that are not just trying to support athletes in one aspect. They also want to support this idea that we as people who visit nature all the time are conscious and we're thinking about it and we're asking questions. So like those people for sure were my inspiration. Man, now it's just trying to like figure out how do I make sure I can perform on a level that's, industry standard, from trying to catch up with you guys. I mean, you guys are definitely on like another level, but it's trying to
some fun though.
Trying to figure out how to maintain a proficiency and also not sacrifice that scientific integrity on the questions that I'm asking. It's like we know in surfing there's a lot of surfers who are artists and musicians. Like wave, we have to be like we have to have different views if you want to kind of surf at a certain level. You have to be able to adapt and modify. And like with you're taking your surfing into the biggest waves on the planet, but also the smallest waves on the planet. Like I see you, like surfing 14-foot board, either on like 50-foot waves, 4-foot waves, So that's having that outlook, I think is very scientific, and I just want to represent myself and other people who really love science and the environment in a way that we don't got to be put in these labels or these boxes and categories. So
that's epic. Yeah, I feel like you've done such a good job of aligning as well with brands that really embody and support the kind of, your philosophies and, those kind of things. You ride for Vissla. I know they do a lot of, environmental kind of product related stuff. And then now being a part of Hydro Flask for us, I mean, a huge thing with the brand was I stopped really using plastic bottles. It was just this amazing opportunity to go, wow, what am I doing? I don't need them anymore at this point. I mean, for you and your kind of line of work, how does it feel to align with brands, like Vissla or like Hydro Flask that, I mean, how does that kind of interplay with each other?
So, to me, I really feel that this idea of trying to be environmentally conscious and trying to be better for the planet, it comes down to accessibility. A lot of the times I feel that we sometimes immaturely blame people for throwing their rubbish away or using plastic water bottles, and we kind of shame them, but it's a lot of times these people don't have access to an alternative. They don't have access to reusables. And I think it's very important for big industry to step up and provide that access to people. And that's just something that I really appreciate with Hydro Flask is they're an internationally known company that, they're not perfect. No brand out there is perfect. But providing access to a choice to people who maybe have not had that choice before, I respect that tremendously. And it's a real honor to be a part of the Hydro Flask family now. In that sense, like I want to help where I can provide access to these types of ways of thinking, more than just the cup. I mean, the cup is the cup, but it's how do we get that thinking, and more than just the product. It's the people like you and the people that are going to be up on the in-between adventures. I think it's just a really cool shifting of the mind, and I'm honored to be a part of it.
It is.
There's my neighbor right here. He's coming back from work right now. So
what's he doing? Backing up the truck?
Yeah, he works for the county. He's an essential worker. I'm at home in my garage.
That's awesome.
going to work, so we got to give him big props.
Man, I miss Hawaii. Hawaii is one of the most special places I've ever been. The people too are just so beautiful and so connected, like you said, and so it's just the energy of the land and the ocean. You guys, as a culture, really embody that. You know, that we always idolize and look to. Every time we go to Hawaii, I always feel so inspired. And I don't know, man. I just love what you're doing, Cliff. It's just it's beautiful to see you do your thing. And I mean, anytime we can get a session in together, I know it's just gonna be good times. So
totally.
yeah. But dude, so we're on the topic of Hydro Flask and using your kind of product and refilling it for good. How are ways that you've been using it that may be effective in your daily routine that have kind of allowed you to start using non-single uses, or just kind of using the product in kind of a way that's refilling that product for goodness?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, like the products are insane. I mean, this is I just brought it just for this, but like this is like I brought this out of
I think that's the big boy right there.
The backyard. This is my backyard. It's the 4 liter, 3.8 liter big boy. So this is like my favorite one that I've got here.
Wow.
But it's like, again, it's more than just, like I said, the cup, you know, or the reusable. It's like trying to like have that mentality, and I really feel like me just having a Hydro Flask, it just kind of makes people think about that idea of reusing and refilling in a way that's positive, or refilling in a way that's more conscious. And that's, to me, that's my kind of like philosophy with it, and I really appreciate it. Kind of like, you know, I remember we've surfed on several occasions over the years before any of this stuff, and I remember either you being on the beach or one of your brothers being on the beach, and one of you guys are still surfing, and it's like going into like a 6-hour session, and I continually hear you guys saying, "Oh, he's just filling up his cup," and I hear you guys like, "Is it filled up?" Like, I gotta still fill a little bit more. So, you know, just that philosophy of we're filling our cups, like we're cups too.
Yeah.
You know, and we're trying to fill up to. We want to put in those positive things, and that's what I really want to try to do too. Right now, I'm trying to, you know, figure out how can I manage my waste. You know, how do I refill not just, you know, liquids to drink, but how do I refill this idea of reusing my waste in a way that's mismanaged? So composting is like a simple one, but even things like tortilla bags, like I really love. That's one thing from California that I probably miss the most, is a good burrito and taco. But you know, I got to get them in plastic bags now over here, unless I make my own, which I'm trying to figure out, how do I manage this waste stream in a way that doesn't put more burden on my community. Our landfill, unfortunately, is full, so all our rubbish has to move to the other side of the island. So it makes me think, with every burrito, with every taco, I have a plastic wrapper now that I have to figure out what to do with it. And you know, my family and myself have been trying to think about creative ways, is how do we use these things that are waste and add value to them, and put them into something that we can keep using, like the, you know, like the Hydro Flask. And it's just, again, it's more of a perspective than the actual products themselves.
I 100% agree. It's like it's an opportunity to feel inspired about incorporating that philosophy in other ways in your whole life. And just, I don't know, I mean, like I said, for me, it's been a shift the last, you know, 5 years. I wish I could say it was my whole life, but your evolution of thought changes as you kind of grow and you see the impact things are having around the world. And especially as you travel, like, you know, there's quite a few locations around the world that have heavy plastic inundation. And when you see those things, it changes the way you look at what your behavior patterns are. So I don't know. I completely agree. I really appreciate what you said about that. And Cliff, dude, I'm working on getting flour recipes, making everything. I've been fully into cooking and doing that stuff. So I'm going to send you on when I dial it. I think it's pretty simple. And then you'll just be able to fresh press them like anytime you want.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need it Gudang approved, because I'm not too sure if,
it might be pirate radio.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to close this garage because the neighborhood is getting crazy right
I love
now.
it. This is about that time of the day, huh? It just starts, people really start activating. So That's cool. Dude, well, I'm going to just plug something real quick here for all the viewers out there online watching. Through next Wednesday, Hydro Flask is offering 25% discount to all listeners. If you're out there, you're getting a 25% discount for being a part of this here's jam session with Cliff. Just punch in the discount code, and this is it right here, Surf Chemistry. That's
You
my
gotta
man.
flip it.
Oh, shoots. Is it backwards? How do I do this? Okay, it's not backwards. How do I do it? I don't know. Is that better, Cliff?
There you go. There you go.
Okay. I'm a rookie. First live I've done in a while. And then, so yeah, you'll get 25% off. We're using the discount code Surf Chemistry. It doesn't matter if it's capitals. It's not case sensitive. So Surf Chemistry, 25% off for the whole week on hydroflask.com. Check it out. Sorry, Cliffy, I just had to get the promos in this jam session there. So Cliff, what's next for you, man? I know you're on the Big Island. What's it looking like over there? How's everyone holding up? And yeah, what is in the future? What are you feeling? I mean, this has been an interesting time just for reflection. You know, I feel like I've had moments of new ideas, new emotions, new feelings. And what's it like for you? Where are you at right now with everything?
Yeah, I think right now it's kind of, I think I'm trying to figure out how to best go on the next adventure. But I don't know, like my home adventure I've been like really investing into the home front with the family and with the, the garden. And, I feel like I'm adding so much more. I'm like planting a lot of investments in my adventures at home, which for so long I've been, like you traveling and we're gone for a majority of the year, and it's almost like home is our vacation because we're just moving so much. We don't really have time to really sink in. And now that I kind of missed out on, I feel all these adventures that are happening at home every day by just being at home and being present. So I'm really thinking long and hard about how do I use this time at home to treat every day as an adventure here. And there's so much things to explore in my community and on my island. I really want to speak more with the people and the partnerships that I have to celebrate these adventures at home, whether it's in my house or on my street, at my local beach, or even on my island. I want to really focus a lot on that, and sprinkle in some of the exotic destinations for sure, just to contribute on a global level. I don't want to lose that connection. But with now with social media and with technology, it's really a lot easier to connect. And I'm hoping to get out, but definitely focusing more on the home front for sure.
Yeah, I mean, how do you feel like for your kind of what you're working on? How do you feel like it can relate to your home community, and how can people out there maybe feel inspired in their own communities? I think that's a huge thing for us. Your community is your family. It's an extended family. Even it goes down to the soil that you're planting your food into, and
Yeah.
What kind of ways do you feel like people can access in their own life that would be relatable and in a way that maybe you're using in your community, or that you've seen others do that has been inspiring that way?
Yeah, story. I feel like learning the story of the place is really, really something that it's not always easy to do, but it's something that is so gratifying when you find just these stories that have existed way longer than yourself, or even maybe your family has been in a place. When you find a story about just little things in an area, like at our house, we didn't know that there was a stream that just flowed right next to our house. And learning the name, learning where the water comes from, and learning where that source of water is, it's just so, like I said, gratifying. And that's, I think, learning story of your place can really empower an individual to take the first steps to want to be more a part of that community, because that's sometimes the barriers that I don't know, I kind of live in this apartment, I don't really know, it's kind of noisy next to the train. Even if it's learning about how long was this train track here, and how far does this train track go, and just learning a simple story about where you come from, it's a way to begin that idea of being environmentally conscious. Because you know, I don't want to seem to come off preachy, like you got to go out to like the redwoods or you got to like save all the coral. It's more about first that connection, and however we can find the connection. We as surfers, we kind of are, it's in hand in what we do. But even if you're a tennis player, or if you like to go on runs, or even if you like to watch TV and hang out in the house all day, like where's your energy coming from, you know, and how long has that source of energy been that way in your county or in your place? And you know, those are just cool ways that I'm now being home so much, really having to pay attention to. And with science especially, I'm trying to figure out how does the mountain affect the sea? And on the islands, this connection is very apparent when changes happen. So that that's why I'm really get excited. You know, while I'm surfing in the morning, I can look up to the mountains and begin to just ask the questions. What is that connection to each other, and what is my connection to that? So it's really exciting. What's
dude, that
coming
is
up and
insane. I just can picture that feeling of looking and just understanding the connection. You actually have the level of you know, knowledge to actually piece those together, and it's just
I just Q-tip. I just take a Q-tip and I just like rub it on like the ground, or I like rub it on the tree, and I just Q-tip all the way up the valley until I get to the source, and I just see, okay, put these Q-tips into the machine and then look and see what kind of chemicals there are, what kind of, you know, molecules and microbes and all this, the molecular conversation that's happening between these, and try to hopefully find some type of trend that my like pea brain can understand, you know, and once it all comes together, if we can find a cool story, then we can share that back to the environment or to the community, and share with people. Like, you know, people in Hilo, I know that the place we grew up surfing, they didn't even know that there's some of the most diverse coral reef in all of Hawaii right offshore.
wow.
Like, there's a river mouth where we surf, so it's kind of rock bottoms. And then once you get out past a certain place where the water becomes more salty, it's insane coral reef, like Finding Nemo kind of reef, you know, big plating coral reefs, big corals, and the fish are just thriving. We have these finger corals that are growing up underneath the sand offshore. And I don't think people even realize that just outside of our site, we have some of the most thriving coral communities like on the planet. I came back from the Maldives in the end of last year, Tahiti, and the coral off of Hilo, which is like right here, is doing so much better as a microcosm and compared to the whole global situation. You know, the Great Barrier Reef, or we're looking at in the Caribbean, we see mass die-offs and so much negative press about the state of our ocean. And we have these stories just in our local community that can inspire us and give us hope that it's not all bad.
Yeah.
And if we identify a place that's thriving, let's protect it, you know?
Yeah, there it is for all you viewers out there checking it out. I mean, that was really well said, Cliff. I really appreciate the insight, man. And I think, like you said, it's right in our backyard. Every inspiration that we need to find it's right here for all of us to look into, and it's pretty exciting stuff. So I just want to touch back on the discount code Surf Chemistry as we wrap up with my man Cliff here. I really appreciate your time this afternoon. What are you doing for the rest of the day, Cliff?
Oh, rest of the day, probably got to cut the grass here in rainy Hilo. If the sun's out, you gotta get yard work done.
Awesome. And one last question: what's your Hydro Flask hack? I mean, are you going to use that big bottle there, fill it up with water, and start training with it, or what? You're going to get
So what I do is I've been putting my phone like in here. I don't know. Can you see this? Like, I put my phone
little
here
speaker
when I want to pump up the jams, especially when I'm out in the yard or doing something. I put the phone inside of it, and it's like an epic speaker. So that's the hack. I've been doing it for a long time. And the Hydro Flask, these ones especially, they're like super good for it. So.
Yeah, they got the good. Yeah, that's awesome.
Got the good reverb on it.
So. Cliffy. Well, say hi to the crew, man, and can't wait till we get to share some more waves together in the future, man. And keep doing what you're doing, dude. I just really appreciate it, and I loved hearing your insight. It was
appreciate
inspiring.
you, bro. Thank you so
Awesome,
much.
Cliff.
Be looking forward to the next episode. Mahalo, everyone.
Yeah,
Mahalo,
okay. Awesome. Yeah, Cliff, we're doing it. All right, and if you're just tuning in, we're going to be next Thursday. We're going to be hanging out with Anna Ergot on In Between Adventures with Hydro Flask, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So tune in and enjoy the rest of your day. See you guys.
Aloha.
See you, Cliff.